So the topic of this video is quadrilaterals, and our objective is I can identify the different types of quadrilaterals and distinguish between them. So our first type of quadrilateral we're going to see is a parallelogram, and it is a quadrilateral with both pairs of opposite sides parallel. So if we're going to mark this side is parallel to this side, and this side is parallel to this side. Our next one is a rhombus, and a rhombus is a parallelogram with four congruent sides. So if it is a parallelogram, this side is parallel to this side. Again, this side parallel to this one. And then the four congruent sides, need to mark that as well. Okay, our next quadrilateral is a rectangle, and a rectangle is a parallelogram with four right angles. So again, you want to mark these parallel sides, 'cause it's a parallelogram first and foremost, and then four right angles. And I'll make sure that an angle is marked as a right angle before you just assume it is. Okay, you can't just assume an angle is a right angle if it does not have that symbol there. Now, a square is a parallelogram with four congruent sides and four right angles. So we're going to mark this. These two sides are parallel, and these two sides are parallel, and we have four congruent sides and four right angles. Okay. Next type of quadrilateral is a trapezoid, and a trapezoid is a quadrilateral with exactly one pair of parallel sides. So only one set of these sides are going to be parallel, and those sides are called our bases. So on the trapezoid here, it would be this side and this side. These are our bases. And our two sides that are not our bases are called our legs. So we're going to label this. That is a base. That is a base. These are legs. This is a leg. And if this is a quadrilateral trapezoid A, B, C, D, the trapezoid has two pairs of base angles. So our first pair of base angles would be angle A and angle D, and the second pair would be angle B and angle C. Our next quadrilateral is a kite, and a kite is kind of different from all the other ones we've seen so far. It's a quadrilateral that has two pairs of consecutive congruent sides, but the opposite sides are not congruent. So, as we had seen with some other ones, opposite sides are congruent, but with a kite, these two sides are congruent because they are consecutive, and if these two are congruent, then the other two have to be congruent to each other. So you can see the opposite sides are not congruent. And finally, we have an isosceles trapezoid. An isosceles trapezoid is a trapezoid with two congruent legs. So we can mark our two bases as being parallel, because all trapezoids have those. And then special about these, just like an isosceles triangle, we have these two sides are congruent, the two legs are congruent. So now we're going to do some identifying here. And these first two, we're going to ask for the most specific names for these quadrilaterals. So we can see here we have these two parallel sides, And that's the only information we have for this one. So all we can say about this is that it is a trapezoid because it only has the exactly one pair of opposite parallel sides. And this next one, we have 4 right angles, so it could be a rectangle, and we have 4 congruent sides, so it could be a rhombus. But the only quadrilateral that has 4 congruent sides and 4 right angles is a square. Okay. These next two, we want any name that could apply to these quadrilaterals. So let's start off the one on the left. We have 2 sets of parallel sides. So right away we know it is a parallelogram. And then we can also see that it has 4 right angles. So it also could be a rectangle, because a rectangle is a parallelogram as well. And this next one on the right, again we have our 2 sets of parallel sides. So again we know that it is at least a parallelogram. And we also see that we have 4 congruent sides. So this is also a rhombus. Now for our review, I'm going to show you what is called the quadrilateral family tree. And so we just start off with any quadrilateral, any 4-sided figure. And then our next step down we have parallelograms, and those are 2 sets of opposite parallel sides. And then trapezoid is exactly 1 set of opposite parallel sides. And kites are out on their own. They are the 2 sets of consecutive congruent sides. Now from the parallelogram we can go to rectangles or rhombuses. Rectangles are parallelograms with 4 right angles, and rhombuses are parallelograms with 4 congruent sides. And from there we have a square, which is a parallelogram with both 4 right angles and 4 congruent sides. And after the trapezoid, our next step would be an isosceles trapezoid. That is just a trapezoid where the 2 legs are congruent. Make sure to do your reflection, get those extra points, and we'll see you in class tomorrow.